Right, so the space station was obviously one thing. This is the probe that we're sending to Eve. And as you can see, it's a very simple, a large motor with a lot of fuel, and then a little tiny probe there. It has communications, it's got some mystery goos on it, as well as the Are You Alive, the temperature gauge, and I don't even think I have, I don't even have the atmospheric sensor on here. We just did not have that when I had sent this. I do now have the atmospheric sensor, but I didn't when we launched this thing. So we have to go to map view. Check this out. So our maneuver here is coming up pretty quick here. And what that's going to do is it's basically going to alter our course such that we will actually encounter Eve. So we're going to focus on Eve. And we're trying to just get into the atmosphere, right? So it's likely not going to get exactly because we're so far out, but we can fine-tune that later. I'm going to go ahead and delete this alarm. Our next alarm is in 11 days, and that's a Kerbal to Duna launch window, so we'll create something for that. And yeah, here we go. So let's go ahead and fast forward for this 20 minutes. Going down to 50 times, and now down and down and down. Okay, try and fix our attitude. Much easier than with the Kerbal space station. And we burn a little bit early, but that's okay. And I'm just going to shift it now. There's our capture, or an encounter at least. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to right click here. I don't care if it's this, I just care that it gets as close as possible. And it looks like that's as close as it's going to get with this maneuver. Now, what I can do is I'll just go ahead and add a maneuver so I can have this focus on vessel. And then I'll X that maneuver out. And I'll add a maneuver here. And that's going to be, in an hour. Let's make that like in 8 minutes. That sounds good. Let's focus on Eve and see if we can't walk this in a little bit. So I'm just going to use the buttons here to walk it in. And let's see, if we hit one, that's a lot. So, and this is all we need. We just need to tap it in a little bit. And what we want is to be about 70 kilometers is perfect, I think. I don't know, it may not be, but that's what we are going to shoot for. So I just got to adjust my attitude here to prograde and burn a little bit. Oh, too much. So we're just going to go to retrograde now. And what I'm going to do, it's just too sensitive, right? So we're just going to thrust limit this thing way down. And then we're going to burn back to the map view. Bam. There we go. We'll correct this and look at this. So it's too much. And we're going to walk it in just a little bit. And we're just going to bam it. And that's about as good as I think you could ever get right there. So that is our maneuver burn. So now we need to go back to our Kerbal alarm clock. Wonderful, wonderful mod here. And we add, and it's going to automatically do a sphere of influence change, which is great. That's exactly what we want. We don't need to change that. We do want it to pause the game when that happens. And that's going to occur in 85 days and about 5 hours. So we've added that. We can see that we have 2 events before then, and then we'll have that event. And we'll obviously be doing a lot more in the space of that time. But at least that probe is on its way, and it's got its encounter set up. All we have to do is wait for it to get there. So we're going to F5 this, and then we need to get back to Kerbal. Do that one or two ways. We could either go back to focus view. We could go back to the Space Center and then go into the whatchamacallit, the map view building. I forget what it's called. Mine has just gone blank. Or we can do what I'm doing here and just go here and then switch to and back to the minimal Kerbal Space Station. Okay, so we are performing our burn here. I had some jankiness go on with the patch conics, I guess you would call it. But here we are forming basically our orbital insertion, and we're also trying to get into a inclination that will get us to an equatorial orbit. Okay, that's starting to look better. Oh, I need to go and chase my maneuver node a little bit. That's going to get us pretty close. And so I'm going to take that, and now what I want to try and do is focus on Minmus, and I want to line my orbit up with the equator. You know, the equator is right about here. You know that because that's where you're rotating around. That you're rotating around the same axis as Minmus when you're focused on Minmus. And so we want to try and get as close to the center, but we have to eyeball it. And so I'm going to call it right about there. And we're just going to try and fix our inclination. Let's see here. Yeah, this will give us an inclination right here, indication. We're also going to shrink our orbit, or at least our parapsis. Four, three, I'm looking right here. 2. Oh, and it's going back. So that tells us we're not quite in the right spot. Now, what if we move this? Will we get closer? There we go. And we start moving back up. So what if we just moved a little bit? A little bit more? A little bit more. There we go. Now we're starting to move the needle a little bit. It's one of the reasons I love Precise Node, because it, you know, without Precise Node, I mean, I would have eyeballed it and it would have been close, but I mean, this is going to be so much closer. That is, if we can actually execute it, which is very difficult with this thing. It's just such an honorary piece of metal to try and move all that mass. I say metal, and I'm sure it's got all kinds of other stuff in it, but I'm gonna try the tin. Uh-oh, going in the wrong direction. And so then we need to go back to this. There we go. Yep. Alright, we're to pretty much 0. It should be close enough for me, but I'm going to still try and walk it in a little bit. Alright, so that's about as good as you're going to get, which is fine. That's more than accurate enough, and quite frankly, probably won't happen anyway. So we're just I'm gonna rotate it so I only have to move on one axis to get to my maneuver attitude, and then I'm gonna take SAS off and just I'm gonna try and do this without the RCS. The thing that's happening is the RCS is affecting the orbit because you're thrusting, right? So that thrust has an effect on the orbital indicators. It has an effect on the thrusting has an effect on the orbital indicators, or your apoapsis, your periapsis, your inclination, all of those things. And because of that, if you can go without using the RCS, you're going to do a lot better with being accurate. It's just such a big mass compared to our control authority that it makes it a little bit difficult. And this thing was really meant to already have the stage that we have on removed, right? So that's part of the issue, is half our mass would not be here normally, and then it was designed to do orbital maneuvers with just this amount and not with all this mass here. So that's our main problem right there. But okay, we have a day. We'll fast forward. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and stop it a little bit early because we do want to fine tune this attitude a little bit for our maneuver node. And this is where you need a little bit of patience, both with me on the video, but even more so when you're doing it. And we got about 19 seconds, so I'll go ahead and forward a little bit with that. And we are about to burn, so we're at T-4 seconds. And we're about to accomplish, we've already actually accomplished our contract. I want to say mission, but it's a contract. So we've built a new orbital station around Minmus. Completion rewards. We got the rewards for that already. Great for us. And we are in orbit around Minmus, but we want to adjust this orbit. So now that we're in orbit, let's just the best way to do this would be to add a maneuver at the periapsis, and then go ahead and reduce it. And we're going to shoot for 50 kilometers. I want to go just above 50 kilometers, so that I think 50 will be a barrier for time warp, and so go just above, and then we'll burn again at the new periapsis and bring this 90 down to 50, and then we'll have a nice circular equatorial orbit, and our inclination is less than 1 degree, So that's good. And go from there. So now we just got to adjust our attitude, which with this honker is no easy feat. And we're going to go ahead, I mean, we're not going to even use all of the delta V that this stage has, so we're going to leave it on there. Because what we can do is, when we bring our next stage, or our return home vehicle, we can leave the fuel out of it to get home and steal it from this stage here, since we got it. And then what we'll do is we will jettison this stage after we've stolen the fuel from it. We might as well use the resources since we have it here. Yes, it does make it a little bit more difficult to do some of these orbital maneuvers, but in the end I think it will pay off. Again, I'm turning my SAS off to do these attitude adjustments because with that off, I don't actually have to keep fighting the SAS. I'm going to turn it on now, and I'm just going to thrust a little bit here, just a tiny bit, just to kind of get it where I want it to go. I'm going to push it. I am fighting the SAS now. I'll push it a little bit more, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit my time warp and see how much we affect it. It's still going to be just above 50, which is perfect. And so now we just gotta get to our next maneuver. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow down. Slow down. Slow down. And slow down. Alright, we've gone off of our attitude a little bit here. I'm going to go ahead and just put it on retrograde. And we did it too much, and that's okay. So what we want to do is want to burn prograde. See, the thrusters are what is adjusting this. Ooh. Totally jacked this thing up. Oy. Oy vey. Okay, so what can I do? I just need to be patient with this and let it go to retrograde, slow it back down. Yeah, patience. I mean, actually, we're more or less a circular orbit, but I want to be in a lower orbit. That lower orbit is gonna make things easier for us when we're doing rendezvous. So go ahead and burn slowly. I'm just watching this. I don't have to have a maneuver here. 50. I'm just punching it a little bit. That's perfect. Okay, we're going to F5 this, and we'll add a maneuver at the Perry Fs yet again, and slow it down. Right, and that's practically circular. It's about 9.3 meters per second burn. Nothing much to speak about. I'm just going to put it on the prograde because prograde here is retrograde here, right? So if I can get to the prograde and let the machine do the work, that'll just make my life a little bit easier. I'm going to press Alt and then the fast forward button or the time warp button, and that gives me the physics time warp. And as you see, things are going to go a little bit faster here. But it also increases the physics, so it can hink things up if you do that. And see, it's actually messing with my orbit here a little bit. And I'm going to do my regular time warp to stop the rotation if I need it. it to? Well, actually, it stopped on its own, so I'm just gonna I'm pressing S here, get up a little bit, and then I'll time warp. Okay. And so now we're gonna time warp to the other side to lower our orbit finally. You notice that red part when it was going behind Minmus, that's the point at which it will no longer it's no longer in line of sight with Kerbal, and that's either because it's out of range or because it's being blocked in that case by Minmus. So I'm just gonna hit retrograde here once again, and I'm just gonna actually press shift and burn slowly. And I don't think we ever no, that was the other craft, never mind. So we're just burning really slowly here. And we got it. And so we're just above 50 kilometers on both of them. Apoapsis height is still actually just above 50, but we can wait till we go here and burn retrograde some more, or we can just call it a day. And I think that's what I'm going to do. That's going to be close enough. F5, quick saving. That is it for this episode. You guys, thank you so much for watching. I can't apologize enough for the loss of episodes, the lost episodes, if you will. You know, I still have the raw stuff, and I have a couple of ideas on how to do it. If I can get it to work, I will post those lost episodes. But for now, I wanted to go ahead and move forward with this new program and just make sure that you know, we kept things moving in this career. The biggest thing that y'all missed, I will redo, which is the moon landing with Jeb. We did it. We have the science in the career that I'm showing you guys. But we'll have to go back to the moon anyway, and I wanted to do a good tutorial on how to go to the moon, land on the moon, and get some good science for the moon. It's not just putting your craft on the moon without litho braking too hardly, but you want to think about biomes and things like that, and so we'll get into that. And we're going to also have a lot of fun with this space station as well. So that's it for this episode. Talk to y'all later. Bye.